Indigenous people and their allies continue their global resistance against hydropower dams that destroy their ancestral homelands, rivers, fish, forests, and ecosystems. Dams present a great risk to socio-biodiversity and the planet's climate due to emissions of methane and other greenhouse gases. Hydropower electricity can be as dirty as fossil fuels. Indigenous people attended the COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland this month, where world leaders met to address the climate crisis.
Hello, my name is Fiona Labar, and I am Métis Indigenous from Manitoba, Canada. I'm here at COP26 to help advocate against the use of hydroelectricity as a source of clean and renewable energy. Hydro dams and mega dams in particular destroy marine ecosystem and life. And most importantly to me, they destroy Indigenous communities where they're being placed. Right now in British Columbia, Site C is being worked on, and it's along the Peace River. If that is put out and is made, 128 kilometers of sacred land will be destroyed. We need to fight against hydroelectricity and remind people it is not a use of clean energy.
Indigenous people were joined by hundreds of groups around the world. Hydropower dams often violate the rights of Indigenous peoples because they have been built on the ancestral homelands of Indigenous peoples without their consent. They also poison wild food supplies by causing toxic methylmercury to enter the food chain.
Dams produce a lot of methylmercury. There's naturally occurring mercury in vegetation, and when it's flooded, when reservoirs are flooded, when it's submerged in water, that mercury gets released as methylmercury. It's a harmful neurotoxin, and it builds up in our food web. Already, people in our community have higher than average mercury levels. So our baseline is starting at higher, and now they're adding the second dam, and they're trying to add a third.
Canada has some of the world's largest rivers to capture water for electricity generation. The hydropower industry has changed the course of our rivers, once used by Indigenous people for travel to hunt, fish, and trap. Natural riverways dry up and become polluted.
Down here today with a youth who still speaks his language and who practices his culture. He's a hunter, trapper, and God, they make it hard to live. They make it hard. They make it hard to survive, to get the fish, to get the moose, the ducks, and the geese. But we're going to risk our lives, and we're going to keep going, because we saw a dam that was decommissioned, a new English word I learned. It was decommissioned, and it no longer exists, and 20 years later, the fish are coming back.
I lived in a very pristine area. The water was very clean, the way I saw it. My granddaughter will not ever see that.
I am offering tobacco to the river, asking for forgiveness for that. They did not know what they were doing to the river. And by that, I'm going to be doing it in my language.
People have to drive through rapids to get to their camp, their fishing areas, their hunting areas. I've lost a grandfather because of the rising and lowering of these waters.
My name is Tommy Monias. I'm from Michigan Territory. I've seen both worlds of my territory. As Rita explained, that we had a very beautiful, beautiful place that I was raised by my great-great-grandmother. And it taught me a lot of stuff regarding the spiritual connection between the human being and the land itself. How my grandmother used to pray, watching her pray, she would sit to the east or face the east and pray. Then in the afternoon, he would pray to the west where the sun goes down. He always said to me, this is how the world turns. He said, "Ekanatakaski," because the land is sacred and we have to follow that circle. And that time when the land was beautiful, clear blue water, you could see right to the bottom of the river. You could see fish. That was the day I was there. When hydro came along back in the 1960s, the world began to change. And then it got worse by 1975. And it got worse and worse. Now the water is all murky, dark, smells bad. The fish no longer edible.
Canadian hydropower is owned and operated by state-owned monopolies like Hydro-Quebec. Indigenous peoples and allies are opposing transmission corridors to export Canadian hydropower to the U.S.
I think it's important to give this message to the New Yorkers. We have been robbed of our future, of our land, the future of our children. We don't know what's going to happen. We're just trying to to have people understand what's happening in Quebec, and trying to understand the human aspect of it. So yes, we have been robbed and ignored by governments of Quebec and Canada, and of course, Hydro-Quebec here.
In November 2021, 60% of Maine voters rejected the $1 billion CMP hydropower corridor to export Hydro-Quebec electricity from stolen Indigenous lands in Canada to Boston, Massachusetts, over 1,000 miles away. The Massachusetts governor continues to reject requests from Canadian and United States Indigenous people and their allies in the U.S. to cancel the Massachusetts contract with Hydro-Quebec to import this Canadian hydropower, falsely portrayed as green energy. In the U.S., we are removing dams. It is environmental racism for Massachusetts and other states to put the burdens of its electricity consumption on Indigenous communities in Canada. In 2021, the Blueberry River tribe won an important legal victory.
Hello, my name is Anna Simeon, Campaigns Director for Raven, Respecting Aboriginal Values and Environmental Needs. We raise legal defense funds for Indigenous nations that go to court to protect their rights and lands. In British Columbia, we are celebrating a landmark court victory by Blueberry River First Nation. For many decades, the BC government enabled a perfect storm of resource extraction in Blueberry River's territory in northern BC. Everything from oil and gas to clear-cut logging to a new hydro dam called Site C. This made it practically impossible for Blueberry River members to practice their way of life and their treaty rights. So Blueberry River First Nation went to court and they won. They won hands down. The BC Supreme Court said that the BC government was in violation of Treaty Number 8 by authorizing all of these projects without any regard for treaty rights. This is a game changer for Indigenous communities dealing with multiple industries, especially on treaty lands, which is most of Canada. The decision may also seal the fate of the proposed Site C dam. The neighboring nation, West Moberly First Nation, is also going to court to try and stop Site C, and their hearing is coming up. It will happen in March. So the Blueberry decision is a strong precedent that will dramatically increase their chances for a victory. We are looking forward to standing with West Moberly First Nation as they prepare for their case.